Gentlemen,
Hello,
how are we both?
we are all right, I think.
Wonderful.
What about you?
Zoom updates irritate me.
Gotcha.
That's totally a first world problem. Totally a first world problem, but they irritate me all the same. And like this little doofer of working my Mac from my phone is handy, so it means I can sort those things out without having to leave my chair, which is nice.
So I have a question for you.
Fire away.
Why didn't I get my gift yet?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Whichever way you like.
Okay, let's do it again. Build me and ask me the question again.
Why didn't I get my gift yet?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, that's legitimately because you could put together an investigative analysis around that. You could, but I mean, you might have already thought of this. I don't know. This is just me firing back the Inquisition. You know, you could go to everyone and ask them all the same question to see what they did. That's the kind of behavioral analysis I was talking about in the podcast yesterday. I did an entire podcast. I called it the blind box method. But it seems to be a theme for Christmas and birthdays in the kind of TV shows that we like, The Mentalist, Psych, Sherlock, where you figure out gifts, that type of thing. So I put together a way of learning it. Anyway, but one of the breakdowns is that you ask a question and see how they respond, right? What I would do on the backside of that though is think about the answers in the sense that why didn't I get my gift yet means that the only way somebody could have access to knowledge around that is if they were involved in the postage, because once it's gone in the post, it's in the lap of the gods, right? It's in the lap of the gods. So a more productive question might be how no no that did you send it first or second? Did you send your Secret Santa gift first or second class? That's an access point to the method and still gets you the same behavioral insight that you're asking for, you know?
What do you mean first or second class?
So if first class postage is it gets there quicker, second
Gotcha.
class postage is it gets there slower. Some first class ones some they sign for, some they don't, some they have tracked, some they don't. But it's largely the difference between first and second class postage.
Gotcha. Well, anyways, I think I know who sent me the gift, but I'm just having fun and confirming my
As
elections. Yeah.
that's mate, that's the game of Secret Santa. And right
Yeah,
on
yeah.
that's the game of Secret Santa. It's not just I mean, it's a big part of it. Turn up and see if you can figure out what the gift is before you open it. Don't get me wrong, but the benefit of it in us playing it is we get all the who said what to who and what about, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There's parts to them. My internet connection is unstable, apparently.
Yeah, it was. And
Isn't that still lovely for me?
yeah. And it's interesting, like Alex got two gifts and like why?
Yeah.
And also
I mean, go on.
another person got two gifts based on my analysis. But of course
I mean,
I'm not gonna reveal it because if it's true, The person didn't mention it, so I don't want to talk about it. But
No, no, it's fine. I am happy to bite on your fishing expedition. I'm happy to do. Um, don't think I don't know what you're doing.
no, 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 it's not a fishing. It's not a fishing. I, I'm reasonably sure that this person got the second gift too.
I got no gift finally.
You
The
got no
no,
finally?
no. My daughter said to me, "Mom, you got your Secret Santa." But when I came here last night and I look at the uh, the bag, I noticed that it was not addressed to me. So this morning I sent it back.
Ah, bloody hell.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
There was a mistake. So I took the package. I went, there's a place here when you have to send back, Amazon stuff because it doesn't fit, it's broken or whatever the reason. I sent it back. So it was not for me, sadly enough. So back to square one, no gift.
well, by the sounds of it, then it's just me and Alex that did it. For the other two gents here, we have a group of five of us that are playing Secret Santa this year, and we all send each other gifts depending upon who got who, and the aim of the game is to try and figure out what it is before you open it, or get as close as you can to that. If you have an idea as to who sent it as well, brilliant. But the main thing is to figure out what the gift is first. If you get your Secret Santa as well, extra brownie points that also don't mean anything. Is Detective Din in?
It should be called, Secret Mindfuck Santa or something like that.
Like secretly, we all hate the postal service. Maybe that approach is quite nice. Did everyone have chance to see the second present-based profiling challenge that I put in the community?
It was a good one.
I was quite pleased when I stumbled across the information that because I mean she's known obviously, but because the gift that she received was so random, like like in terms of scale, and then in terms of cost, and then in terms of niche connection to it. Yeah, it was quite a fun little list. I um I I was talking about on the podcast last night that there is a commonality that we can work with the metronome effect for the RLS guy, but there is a commonality in the person that buys presents, in that the more practical person tends to buy gifts that can be practically used or will practically support someone in some way. A creative person might indulge a creative outlook. That type of thing. A caring person might buy something that just speaks to the individual's passions. That type of remote access connection. And whereas there's certain haptic feedback that we can get here, the method itself is true in the sense that it comes with supported research, right? It connects back to the idea that we as human beings struggle with the unknown. It is by the very definition that it is unknown, we can't know it. Yes, blah blah blah. That's philosophically null, but we struggle with the concept of not knowing. So we tend to buy gifts from a position of our own rationale, right? I believe that they will like this because of X, Y, and Z. It's our internal filter first. So there's that type of um, extra lens on the experience that we can use. So if it is that you have an idea as to who your Secret Santa is, or who's buying you a birthday present, or whatever it is, at whatever time of the year, if it is that you have an idea as to who it is, you can use that idea to try and figure out what it might be as well. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm toying with the idea of an challenge for you guys, rooted in a deduction experiment that I did years ago. You know, when people would do the sending me photos and all that kind of thing, and I got sent that many that I was just like, no, carte blanche. I'm not doing it again. It's eating into my life. Yeah,
Carbon.
that's the brutal English version. But the photo that I got sent was somebody sent me a photo of a box and asked me to tell them what was inside. And so I'm thinking that might be a fun challenge for you guys.
Sure.
That might be a fun challenge for you guys if I made a box, asked you guys to tell me what was inside. Set certain parameters, as in, 5 questions per person. And you can use any kind of information you want to, any kind of technique that you want to on top of that, but you get 5 questions and maybe go about it that way. One of the other challenges that I was thinking of is, whether you believe in them, use them, have them, whatever, but are we all familiar with the concept of a New Year's resolution?
Hmm.
Yeah. To come up with your own that is like a legitimate one, like not like as in 2026, I'm going to try and grow a second head, not like that, but like something that you could legitimately see yourself doing, and see if another person can profile details about what that is. Like we can do it properly, do it like Jane, with a paper and an envelope and put it in our pockets and then go through the profiling thing. And then when this is my answer and then the person reveals it, go down that way if we want. But these are some of the ideas that I'm thinking about in terms of upcoming challenges that I think might be fun. I think might be fun. But the memory challenges are fun in their own right. And the other kinds of challenges that we've done are fun in their own right. But with these types, it offers a personal day-to-day connection, personal day-to-day connection, because every cerebral social then matters. Every post matters. Every interaction, every comment, every movement, it all matters. It all contributes to the profile that you develop of the person that you want to play the game with.
Yeah, makes sense. I
Yeah.
was thinking about doing the Secret Santa, but for free and online, like in a session, Like we could, for example, here is iPad. So I could put it in a box and I could show it to you. And then I could describe you how heavy it is. Or I could describe you how it feels when I shake the box. What I hear when I shake the box, etc. So we are just gonna describe what we hear, what we see, but we are gonna be honest, of course. We are not gonna say it's 50 grams when it's 5 kilograms. Yeah. It could be like a 10 minutes practice.
Yeah. And that's what I like about this notion of practice is that we can do it with anything, with anyone, anywhere, right? All we're doing is drilling, um, like the habitual noticing of things. That's it. Habitual like acknowledgement of things. That's it. And putting that to good use with practical thinking skills,
I do
which sound
also. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just finishing an observation. I was like, which sounds like a really dull assessment. That's all I said. Go on, mate.
Yeah, I just thought it would be funny. Secret Santa, but you only get the gift if you correctly infer what's in the box.
Right? Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that could be a fun one. We have games in our house on Christmas Eve night. We call them Jeopardy games. It's not like proper Jeopardy. It's more like discomfort, in the sense that if you get something wrong, you have to eat something disgusting, or you get a forfeit, that type of thing. So it could also, I was we could also toy with the idea of Jeopardy games, in that if your reasoning is off for whatever reason, haha, pun intended, but if your reasoning is off, then you, I don't know, you have to read this book by next social and tell us all about it. You know, you have to give a book review and take questions. Right? No notes, whatnot. Those types of Jeopardy games, but for the community. I mean, maybe reading a book is a little too big, given that it's a game, but just toying with the idea of some kind of forfeit, some kind of challenge, some kind of production on the backside of it, I think might be nice.
Maybe a few chapters of a book be a bit more manageable to fit into people's everyday lives.
Yeah, absolutely, something like that. You know, I
I
didn't
mean,
get too far past the notion of a Jeopardy game, so a book is definitively too much. Like, I mean, that's too big of a stack. Some of the books I've got in there are like that, which means nothing now I do that because we're on a screen. That's maybe, I don't know, 5 inches thick, maybe.
I mean, I did manage to read this book in about a week.
What is that?
It's Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Persick.
Nice.
Yeah, I just got kind of obsessed with reading it, and didn't do a whole lot else this week other than the minimum to keep my grades in order for college.
True. True. How's all that going?
The college work is going fine. I am perpetually frustrated by one of my classes' restrictiveness of the assignments. If I have some free reign to be able to talk about more or less what I like within a reasonable set of parameters, then I prefer that a lot more than the sort of cookie cutter approach to one of my classes, because it allows me to actually talk about something I care about instead of being forced into whatever position it is that the teacher thinks is important. But I did actually. I was going to say I did actually manage to fit a few quotes from the book I was reading into one of my classes, though, so I'm quite proud of myself for that.
Nice. Nice. I mean, yeah, all I was going to say is that's been my bugbear with modern education for many years, that you're told more what to learn,
Yeah.
than the other side of it.
And this book actually does talk a little bit about the some of the problems with education, believe it or not, because the author, he was a academic for a very long time before he had essentially a situation that involved him going to a mental institution, and being given electroshock therapy, and then trying to rebuild his life after that. And this book is the product of that, trying to retrace all of his steps and figure out what it was that he thought before the situation happened.
Yeah, that's well, it's just powerful. I was trying to search for a more descriptive word, but I think that's pretty apt. Right, that is powerful.
Yeah, it's a really interesting book.
I've heard lots about it. I've never read it, but I've heard lots of kind of favorable things in terms of its outlook towards life and the successful critique of the information that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, fair play, mate. Fair play. Fair play. Well, let's try this then. For 2026, what are the first books you're going to read?
Hardcore Zen.
Hardcore Zen, nice.
Yeah, I'm learning a little bit more about the overall outlook on that. I've also been working on the Shijing for quite some time. I'll probably finish it by next year. That's one of that's more light reading for me.
Nice, nice, mate.
I found a book called Monographs. There are two books apparently.
See, I already read both of those.
Also, there's a book like uh, if you know it, you know it. They say it's beautiful.
God. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a world bestseller, best book ever written.
Yeah.
You might like it, Ben. Never read it though, but I heard it's
We'll
a top one.
we'll leave the name of it a mystery for anyone watching the recordings.
Yeah, of course. Look at Ben. Look at Ben.
It's the secret. We have the public facing information that we have, which is very much like work hard, do the work every day, and then there's secret knowledge, the secret information, the secret techniques. Only the inner circle gets those, and that's how you really become a genius. And you'll have to pay going into real life Sherlock Holmes if you want to be able to be a part of that.
Dylan, you should sell things for me. That was brilliant.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Oh dear. Suffice it to say that that might just be the scathing review that everybody needs. So seriously though, what do you intend on reading? Are there any plans?
I am planning to read a couple of books related to critical thinking and just logical thinking, but more from a scientific perspective. And basically, I do like science, and my one of my plan is go into science and get my master's. And I really want to understand scientific method and how they use it, how they apply it, but in a very extreme level. So I actually use scientific thinking in my day-to-day life. Like I track everything I do, and I just look at the data over time, turn it into graph. So I want to just make sure that my thinking is this method that I'm using is like exactly the way that science is actually okay with it. Like this is the right way. But this is the first one, the Super Forecasters. You said that. I read the book, the first two chapter of it. I didn't have time to finish it because of the university, but this is definitely one of my lists. I even bought the audio book, so I know I can like listen to it while I'm walking.
Yeah, nice.
These are basically the main ones, actually. If we're not considering the technical, which is like the computer science books that I need to read for university, these are the ones that I'm learning for my personal life mostly.
Nice. I mean, I can't say highly enough about speak highly enough rather about the notion of critical thinking and learning how to control that process more. And super forecasting has been a godsend.
There is a book. Sorry. There is a book. It's called How to Measure Anything, and it has a lot of math in it, but you can take the principle and use it for the things that are very abstract. I heard a lot about it. For example, you want to measure someone's how happy their marriage is. You can actually do this. You can define it and find a methodical way to actually measure it. And this is one of the books that I want to read next to super forecasting. I think that's gonna make the combination gonna make something beautiful.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. There was a similar book, not that intense, but similar book in terms of a mathematical and statistical analysis towards real life situations, which was called Reasoning Backwards. It was a Sherlock Holmes book. I think it's out of print now, but if you stumble across a copy somewhere, highly recommend it. You know, there's a couple of skills in that entire situation that if people had, at the very least, a kind of fundamental grasp of, You don't have to go the full scale mathematical scientific approach if you want to, Fab. But I'm talking about on a global scale now. I know you want to. I did. That's but if on a global scale, if they had more access towards Bayes' theorem and Fermi equations,
It would be, and also information theory. And the fascinating thing was in the Super Forecaster that the author said that most institute don't really track what they do, the predictions, which I couldn't believe. Like government pays so much billions of money and they just don't track to see if that work or not. This is just crazy for me. Uh,
I
you
will
usually see. Mhm.
I will say though there is a limit to how effective measurements can be. They're obviously very useful and they're applied in very useful ways, but there is something that is always left out of the measurements. So there was this one guy, he became a high level general. I don't have the name off the top of my head. I didn't stick it in the Mind Palace anywhere. But he became a high level general from outside in the civilian world as like a statistician. And he was like, I'm going to take my statistician skills into my new job. I'm going to measure everything and I'm going to be able to do the perfect war because I'm smarter than all these generals. And he completely ignored all of the other generals' advice on how to conduct warfare, tried to do it from the ground up, from scratch, scientifically. It was a horrible disaster because he didn't really know what things were actually important to measure. He was measuring a bunch of things that didn't matter and drawing a bunch of inferences on those that weren't actually founded in like good practical knowledge of warfare. And the whole operation fell apart as a result of that. So it can lead you to think you know more than you actually do about a situation if you're too obsessed with the numbers and you're not looking at the bigger picture, the overall patterns of the situation, and the practical knowledge that comes along with it. Good measurement should be a supplement to good quality work, but it's not a replacement for good quality.
100%. That's 100% true.
yeah, agreed. The measurement is only as good as the measurer. And especially with us dealing with human concerns, it's all prone to bowing and prone to change in those types of situation as well. Validate, dismiss, clarify, move with the income of new data, 100%. The reliance on any kind of an equation. Well, equation or not, the tool is irrelevant. Reliance is the key. If you're relying on something else to do the processing for you, that's the key to rigidity in your. Yeah, good point, mate. Zaid, is that the book you're planning to read, or you felt it was pertinent, or both?
I thought it was pertinent because of the numbers versus intuition.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I just didn't know if it was fortuitous circumstance that you happened to have it and you were going to read it because of the question, or that it was relevant. But it definitely is, mate. It 100% is relevant.
Yeah. I read it before, but I'm planning to read it again just to refresh the memories.
Great
Yeah.
book. It's a great
Yeah.
book. It's a great book. Trying to think when my copy is. Shelf 17. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like a quirky thing, but given that I have to this is part Xmas gifts, part books that I've run out of room for. There's a bookcase the other side of that wall that is full. There's a bookcase in my room that is full and stacked on, and then I have another 11 bookcases at my mum's because I ran out of room. So if I don't know where it is, I don't know how to get it.
Of course.
That's the same with all of the hard drives. I figured because me as an operator, for my things, I don't really care about naming conventions as long as I know where it is. Right, so I know if I need this information, I go to hard drive 4 or hard drive 3 or hard drive 10 or whatever it is to try and find it. That's the easiest protocol for the way my memory works. for the first books I'm to read. I have a fictional book I want to read in January. Dan Brown's new book. I love Dan Brown. So he seems to be Marmite for some people. In that people either love him or they hate him. I'm in this camp over here. And then I got a book through today called The Seer, which is something that I'm going to read pretty soon as well. I know nothing really about the contents other than it was written by a guy called Manuel Larte, and he professed to be able to perform real mentalism. What that means, I've no idea.
Everyone else is performing imaginary mentalism.
Exactly. I don't know what it means, but the concept of real mentalism piqued my curiosity, so I'm gonna explore.
He's going to guide you through third eye awakening rituals.
If that's the case, then I won't get past the second page. Oh, okay, there we go. Put that down.
You get magic powers reading that book.
I swear to God, there is one woman that convinced me to read any kind of book like that just for curiosity, and I'm sure I've probably mentioned her before. Her name's Floor. She's from Holland, and she's my friend Bjorn's mother-in-law, and she's cool as just an absolute diamond of a woman. She did a Reiki session on me and started telling me all about my past life as a witch. That's why I'm so insightful. Whereas I didn't care about any of that, right? I just with her because she seemed like one of those women, where you'd see them kind of sat in the corner of a restaurant, just continuously smoking, like one after the other, after the other, after the other, because they'd just seen and done everything and they were just bored with life. That kind of a personality. I was like, you're pretty cool. I'm gonna have to speak to you quite considerably. And I slept in her office when I was there, and I was surrounded by all of the balms and the teas and the amulets and whatever else. I kept the amulet she gave me more as a connection towards her because I thought she was cool. I don't have to believe in it to enjoy the fact that this lady was nice enough to give me something from her office. She gave me a book as well. It was pretty interesting. It was about the intuitive capacity of physical ailments. I think it was part of her. Oh, the names just escaped me. Reiki, the part of her Reiki work. It was an interesting book. So it was certainly out there. I think it would be fair to say it was certainly pushing the boundaries a little bit too far. Not quite to the X-ray standard, if you know what I'm saying. Not quite pushing the boundaries that far, but pushing the boundaries all the same. Yeah, she was cool. Those are the books I'm going to read. Yeah.
You ever notice with those past life, when people tell you about your past lives, it's always something really cool and never like, oh, in your past life, you were a farmer in the 1800s who died of the plague.
So we can call people bitch if we mention their past lives, like you were a bitch in your past life. Is it possible?
Well,
I mean, we can call you a bitch in this life.
Yeah, I was going to say, of course, you've just said, so you prove that it's possible. But whether
technically, I'm a witch in this life.
Nice. So you're brand new.
Well, I've been a witch for the last 40 years. Think about it 1 second.
Oh,
You get it. You get it.
age.
I've been a witch for 40 years and I'm feeling great with that
I think
because I have
technically,
a reason and a purpose to be one.
I've been declared formally a witch by the church for about 15 years.
But
Okay.
legally, I am one. So I'm good to go.
Here's the thing for the critical thinking, emotional qualities kind of thing. When somebody asks you quite earnestly about a belief, whether it be religion or alien
Mhm.
or psychics or whatever else, right?
Mm.
How do you guys normally treat that? Is it just with bugger off, or
Uh,
or is there a kind of curiosity about it?
I listen. I listen carefully because I know I want to understand why do you believe in that? Since when?
Mm,
The reason behind all this, and where are the cracks that make them believe what they believe?
yeah.
I'm highly interested in understanding why, since when, with who, what happened, all this. So I
So
listen. I listen. Yeah.
I love that Julie listens specifically for holes and cracks that she can probe to try to break people's faith.
Well, it's hard to have someone stop believing in something they believe for so long. So the best way is to listen and then ask questions, but really good, built questions. So they will slowly start to doubt what they believe in. But it takes so much time. You cannot
My
go, what? Do you believe in that? Come on, it's not real. This is never
mhm.
gonna work. Never. So I listen.
Beautiful. I
I
love that.
My
listen.
own general approach is I care about what you believe in, but I don't care about what you believe in. I don't care to change it, but I want to know what it is. Because for the most part, I think it's more trouble than it's worth to try to convert people over into, and I don't even know what I would be converting them into anyways, because I don't fucking know what I'm talking about to begin with. Um, and so I mostly just leave people's beliefs alone. I want to understand what they are so that I understand how they think because it impacts their behavior, and I'm a profiler, and so that's interesting to me. I also have a personal conviction that everyone who says I believe in God is worshiping a different God. I strongly believe everyone is. It's like a school, like in primary school, to use the British. Everyone learns the cool S that they draw in their notebooks, and
Yeah.
everyone copies it from everyone else, and everyone's cool S is a little different in their notebook as a result of that copying process. It all is recognizably the same, and maybe until eventually you get really far into the drift where you're like, are those two the same things? And then you get factionalism. But for the most part, everyone's just a copy of a copy of a copy of the same original God, thousands and thousands of years ago. And we could get into the origins of that, but that's not important for this. The point is, no one's is actually quite the same God. And I think that's fascinating. And so everyone who said it's not enough to be like, oh, you're a Christian. Well, what exactly does that mean? And you can subdivide that into the Baptists versus the Catholics versus et ceteras. And then you can subdivide that further. But every Baptist of every subdivision of that, every single individual member has a different God they're worshiping. And so you need to really get into the weeds to understand what specific complex of beliefs this person has. Because the Bible is big and it's complicated, and there's a lot of conflicting verses in there. And so everyone who believes in it believes in a different collection of verses within that. And nowadays, some Christians are even going outside of the canon of the Bible to the peripheral books, like the Book of Enoch and stuff like that, to try to get more variation within their individual beliefs about the Bible, and are straying even further away from traditional factionalism. My own grandma believes in the Book of Enoch stuff. And so there's a lot of variation within beliefs that can be swept under the rug by this one thing that we put it in, believing in God. And so I'm very interested in like getting into the weeds, trying to figure out what the specific implications of that statement actually is for this person. I don't generally come out with my own personal beliefs in that, partially because I think that's less interesting than figuring out what the other person believes. I try to look for areas that I can agree with the other person on, even if the vast majority of what they're saying is completely outside of that, because I find it's more productive for relationship building to try to focus on things that I can actually be like, yeah, this is a good point that you have, even if the vast majority of it I could not possibly get behind. And then I focus less on those elements because they're just not as productive, and it just creates tension in a relationship that doesn't actually serve any purpose, as far as I can tell. And then there's, sometimes I'll try to kind of give people a helpful little nudge if I can see that their life would be genuinely improved by a modification of whatever their belief system is. Generally, I try to fit it within their pre-existing framework rather than trying to push them outside of their pre-existing framework, partially because that's a lot easier to do. And if they can be a little bit better for just being nudged a little bit within their pre-existing framework, adopting a slightly new piece of information, then that's an easy way that I can kind of help them develop their own thinking a little bit. But I also don't necessarily presume to believe that everything that I believe is categorically better than other people's. So it's one of those things where if I'm trying to change your beliefs, that kind of assumes that I know better than you, which is a bit condescending in my opinion. So I think it's more important to just try to explore with the other person and ask them questions that provoke them to thinking about their own belief system in a new way. And if they end up believing more like me, cool. If they end up believing differently in a completely different direction than me, that's fine too. Maybe they're right, maybe they're not. And if they end up sticking with their beliefs, I don't really care. They still went through the exploration with me in order to develop their own system a little bit more. And so whatever the result of that is the result of that. And I don't necessarily want to have control over that process. And so, yeah, it's more about the exploration process for me and helping people get real clear on what is precisely that they believe and why, as opposed to giving them my answers. Because what the hell do I know? I'm 27. I haven't been at this for very long. And so I don't presume to know.
Yeah. Nice. I like that. Nice.
So what I do basically when someone asks me, are you a Muslim or are you a Christian? Are you an atheist? I just start giving the speech of Rascal from True Detective from memory, you know?
Yeah, I don't know it.
You didn't watch True Detective? No?
Not
Okay.
yet. I'm late on a bunch
So
of shows.
I know of it, but
Give us the speech. The speech. Give us the speech.
yeah, so there's a scene between Marty and Rust. So Rust is the nihilist, pessimist character. Marty is the usual Christian character, but he cheats on his wife and, doesn't care about any of the religion side of things, but he just says, I'm Christian. So one day, Marty asks Rust, are you a Christian? You are Christian, right? Because he has a crucifixion on the wall. And he says no, and he starts talking about, I consider myself a realist, but in philosophical terms, I'm what's called a pessimist, And then he talks about the human evolution was a tragic misstep in evolution, and those kind of stuff. Human consciousness, sorry. So that's what I do. I just give the speech from memory, and people listen like, oh, that's really interesting. I'm like, yeah, that's what I believe. Of course, that's what I believe.
So distract, yeah. Nice.
True.
The next book I'm gonna read,
Go on,
okay, yeah, is Anatomy of a Motive.
got it. Very
Yeah. I have it, I just have not read it yet. So that's my next studying book. Yeah. Of course, John Douglas, of course.
Come,
Yeah.
he's the daddy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Daddy.
Yeah. I've read a bunch of his books, but this one not yet. So that's my next book. I brought it with me, but yeah, well, I didn't read a single page again. I didn't have time to read.
What?
So,
You know
yeah.
if you're on a holiday, enjoy
Yeah.
it. Put your holiday first, right?
Yeah.
That's what they're there for.
Well, I slept so much. So, no, I slept so much. Yeah.
No,
Yes. I was very tired, so I slept a lot. I,
you're one of the rare few people I've met that sleep less than I do.
I know what, if I go somewhere else, and taking lots of air. So, yeah, I slept a lot. I was in bed at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Everybody was partying. I was gone. Yeah.
You know what? That's respectful though. Like respect for yourself that you know you needed that kind of rest. So you're like, I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah, I did it.
Fair play to you.
Can't wait to leave again.
I mean, from the photos, it looked beautiful.
Oh, cool.
It looked beautiful. Nice. What about you, Flo? What about you,
Next
Flo? What's
next date.
your default when people bring up curious dispositions?
I'm actually very empathic toward them because I grew up in a very religious family, and like my mo grandma was a practicing psychic, basically. She got paid to do psychic readings, and she did all of this stuff, like from the tarot and the cafe and all of them. So I actually, a couple of days, not a couple of days, like, for a while ago, basically, I talked to a friend of mine that back then I knew from Iran, and he was very religious. And as we talked, he to this day believed that actually, like, angels and demon existed. It was very interesting conversation. I didn't doubt. I didn't say I'm not a believer, but I personally am very fascinated with religion. Like the story about it, like the mystical aspect of the religion, I find it really cool. Just read about it, understand it. And because especially because I come from a religious background, so I do have this curiosity. Like if someone, especially like if someone comes from pagan community, like pagan religions, I genuinely like to listen to them. Like, what do you believe? They have like many. The Abrahamic religion are cool, but they only have one God. But pagans like have many, many different. Like you can just sit down and listen to them. And so I have always this approach of intense curiosity. Like for a while, like a big while, I myself read a lot of witchcraft books. Not because I believed in them necessarily, but I just found them very interesting. Like the history of witchcraft, the rituals, and the
Mm.
type of witchcraft. We have like Islamic witchcraft and all this stuff. And yeah, that's basically the way I look at it. Like it's just cool storytelling.
Love that. Love that. I mean, the reason I ask, and it wasn't planned, but I ask pretty much everyone that I stumble into that is a fan of working in these particular fields that we all share, and that's a commonality that runs through everyone. Is that uh, they are capable of going, I could be wrong. Let's find out. Whereas the people that hold these kinds of curious dispositions mostly don't have that. You know, there might be one or two, whereas there might be one or two that don't have it in the same fields that we're in. You know, such is life. It happens. It happens everywhere. But that is a commonality that I'm never surprised to see that the default is always to listening or to curiosity or to openness or to tell me more, you know. See if you can change my worldview kind of thing. Not as a challenge, not as the I think this, prove me wrong and all that kind of bollocks, but the, you know, that we seem to get a lot of sincere enjoyment out of hearing something that we don't know. You know, and that's I find fascinating. I find fascinating. What's the yeah? Maybe this is maybe something for everyone. What's the a most niche belief that you've ever been asked about? Like we've all been asked about religions and psychics and aliens and flat earthers, but what's the specific one?
What do you mean by niche?
Like really, like a really small area. Like people ask about religious belief all the time. That's a big box.
Hmm.
But if you ask about paganism, it's a niche
Okay,
box.
okay, okay.
Mm. I was asked whether I'm a Satanist or not when I was in high school.
Nice.
Yeah, that's. I don't know why they asked me, but that's what they asked.
Fair enough.
I
Fair
knew a
enough.
Laviata, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Satanist in high school.
Yeah.
In
I
fact, we dated for a little while.
nice. I've only ever met three Satanists in my entire life, and they were all lovely.
Uh, it's not about religion, but yeah, it kind of is. I was asked if I've had an exorcism practiced on me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, is
in
that because of
order.
the seizures?
Yes, yes, I had a seizure in a church one day, and people, in the beginning, asked the priest to give me, an exorcism to get rid of it. So, and later in life, I was asked, "Have you tried, having an exorcism?" Yeah. No, I didn't. But you should, you should. It might heal you. Like,
Yeah,
thank you.
I'll get round.
You just go, thank you. I'll ask for it. You don't fight with that. You just go,
No, of
there's so much ignorance that you don't want to
course.
fight with that. Thank you. I will ask. Thank you.
Yeah. I
That's
will
it. You
deliver it.
leave it at that.
Yeah.
So no, it's not religion, but in a way it is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so yeah. So you just picture the exorcist in your head, like, oh God, thanks. I know I look like that when it happens. Not exactly, but almost. So yeah. So yeah, there you go. That's
Wow.
my kind of niche thing that I got. Not related to my religion, but
See, I'm trying to figure out which one to share. Because I've had people in my family read my aura. Apparently, it's a burnt orange color. I don't know what that means. I've had them anoint me with oils, try to get me to speak in tongues, give me crystals, all kinds of stuff. Um, uh, I've also been accused of being a witch before, and my mom used to practice witchcraft way back in the day. I don't know if she still does privately or not, but she at least used to. She believed in the Greek pantheon, and so yeah, I've had quite a lot of exposure my whole life to pretty niche beliefs.
Wow. I think the only one I've had that I think is niche, more so just because of its stupidity. Like like it's quite a big belief, right? It's to be fair, I'm kind of ignoring my own question, but it's more that I refuse to believe that there are people that adopt this kind of thing. It's either the flat earthers or the moon landing being fake. And you're like, oh, oh God. And normally I default to curiosity and listening myself. It's only when I leave or I'm on my own that I get to go, "Ah." In those kinds of default situations. And Yeah, that's the one that will continually baffle me. But I'm sure flat earthers or moon landing deniers, whatever they're called, might think the same about me. So fair enough, right?
If I
Fair.
hadn't met two of them, I wouldn't believe flat earthers was a real position. I would think it was a meme. I would think people were just saying that on the internet to get attention.
Yeah. How do you know that? How do you know it's not flat? Well, people have been up, looked down, and t taken a picture. Like, besides anything else,
Pictures are fake.
It's
quite.
my grandpa is immune to the flat Earth theory because he was a pilot, so he knows firsthand that the Earth isn't flat.
Bless him. Bless him. Right, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll upload these over the weekend. I'm a couple behind now as it goes, but I'll do them all over the weekend, and I'll see you all in a little bit. Take it easy.